Bonjour! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Fasten up your seatbelt and enjoy this journey into Muse World with Lamia Norbert. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of Muse World. As you can tell, we're not in the studio. This is a temporary place until we move to the new studio, which I'm very excited about. I need to say, though, before I start, a big shout out to Podcast Hub because they made this setup happen for today's recording in very, very limited time. So I'm very grateful for them. Big shout out, big thank you. But today I have a special guest with me. She's all the way from the UK. She was in Dubai for a month. She's testing the ground a little bit. So we have Mariah Aziz with us. She is now a relationship and trauma healing coach. But what you don't know about her is that before she moved to that, she was working a 9 to 5. But before we get into this, how are you?
Oh, I'm very well. Thank you so much. Thanks for introducing me. I know it just feels really surreal, actually, just to be out here in Dubai and doing podcasts like this.
I know.
It's not at all what I was thinking I'd be doing. But it's great because this is me testing the waters here, seeing if this is the right next move for me. And currently, it feels like it might be. So.
Guys, we're discussing about a part 2, so...
Yes, yeah, that would be an exciting one for us, I know, because we've got so much to talk about.
Exactly. And I feel like we have so many things in common.
Oh, we do.
And that's the beauty of meeting and connecting with people. I feel like, obviously, like I mentioned so many times, it's like we all are on our own journey, but when you get to talk with people, you realize that you will always connect. There's always going to be that one thing that you're connecting to the other, and you're like, oh, yeah, I've been in the same place like you.
Absolutely. And I feel like a lot of people here in Dubai in general, I mean, obviously so many people have come from abroad.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy for me to hear when people say, oh, I thought I was only going to come here for a few months, or I thought I would come here for a couple of years. And they're like 15 years in, like, I love this place. I've settled in. And, it was the same for me. I thought, come here as a holiday, as a little bit of work, a little bit of pleasure. But I'm already starting to feel that homely feeling here because it's so warm, so safe, like warm in terms of friendly warm.
Yes.
It's so inviting and warm too. And it's so inviting. And I love that. So, I mean, who knows? But yeah, I'll probably be back in the next couple of months. So.
Oh, we're excited to have you back.
Thank you.
So, Maria, I have a little bit of a tradition with the beginning of the podcast where I am always very intrigued to know a little bit more about my guests' early years, their childhood, how they grew up, obviously, to leading to who they are today. Because I believe that it marks a lot of the person we are today. This is how, obviously, you must be dealing with a lot of that. This is how certain people deal with like childhood trauma or any kind of trauma, but also the good, not only the bad, but it also builds your character as well. So tell me a bit more about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So born and bred in London, still living in London, my mom is British Pakistani and my father, he came over from Pakistan. And generally a beautiful, childhood, as in very, very good parents. Parents are quite secure with each other. That was amazing. I have an older brother who is 3 years older than me. So from the family perspective, it's a nice setup. Parents are healthy with each other. But where there was difficulty for me was that I am definitely the odd one out in my family. My interests are completely different. I'm the creative, like I'm a singer, actress. I love like fashion and design and all of that. Whereas my family are more sort of academic, much more sort of focused on sort of, education, doing well, excelling, getting a secure job. That was very much their vision. And I was like, I want to be flowing and being like into my creative and expand that way. So there was definitely a difference from that perspective, but also, for me, growing up, I'm not only different from my interests, but it was also the way I love is different. So for me, I'm a very cuddly, huggy person. Again, my parents were very professional. And so I felt growing up that was one of my gaps that I had with my family, was that not only do I feel different to you guys, but I also love in a different way, and I'm not receiving that, of course, from them that same way. But I mean, generally growing up in my early years, it was great. I mean, like I had, everything that I wanted, and my parents were phenomenal, like really good at sort of giving us everything that we needed physically, but emotionally was my gap. My brother, great guy, really, really sweet guy, but was naturally a little bit slower at school. He wasn't the smartest of kids. Now, like medium sort of level. Me, I was like that top set kid, smart in every subject. So again, my parents had to focus more on my brother and like helping him get to places, and me, I'm alone. I was alone so much that I started stepping into that hyper independence, sort of like, oh, I have to do everything myself, because when mum and dad are around, they're focused more on him. And there were moments where I would remember thinking, I wish I could be stupid as well. So that then they would give me, and he wasn't stupid, but that was the thinking that I had. Like, I just need to not be so smart, because then maybe I would get their attention.
A bit more,
So much of that attention that I wasn't getting, and, not feeling very understood because my interests are so different.
Yes.
Now, coming from a Muslim household as well, me being interested in music and acting and putting myself out there and wanting to show off and everything was like, no way.
Of course, because you're a woman.
I'm a woman.
Yeah.
There's like, oh my God. And the fear of me doing that, I suppose the fear was that I would do that, and then that would sort of drive me away from the academic world. So it was always like a shutdown. Whenever I would speak about that, it was like, that's your hobby, like just keep it as that. And so I remember when I was a bit older and I said to my mum and dad, I said, I want to be an actress. My dad's first point to that was, what would you do if there's a kissing scene? And I hadn't thought about that yet, but I just said, oh, well then I won't do that bit. Then he said, but then why would they choose you? And it was like an immediate, like, don't do that. You're not going to excel in that. Fashion designing, well, so hard to become successful in that. It's so hard. It's like everything is being shut down. But I was told, but you're very good at mathematics and your father is a maths teacher. So you could get all the help and you would do really, really well. Then you can end up in a really good job and get secure financial income. That's what you need to do. And so where I want to go back a little bit is that my parents started to shape me into this person that wasn't very natural for me. I was being put in now in a bit of a box of, you need to be this way and not that way. And so as I was sort of growing up, trying to express myself, that became very difficult because I would be shut down so much, because it was so different to them. So growing up, wanting to talk about feelings was a big thing for me. I want to talk about how I feel, but in the South Asian, and it's not even just, might be in the same as yours as well, in your culture, we don't talk about feelings. We don't talk about love.
Yes.
We don't. And
love is not a thing.
Love is just, you have food. You have shelter.
Exactly.
That's enough.
Do you know what? It's so funny. Excuse, I'll have to cut you because I'm listening to you and I'm like, I knew we had a lot of things in common. But I did not expect that much in common. Let's just put it out. So just to give you a bit of, obviously, because we met very recently, so you don't know much about me, but my dad's Muslim, my mom's Catholic, all right? So all my life, I grew up in between two households whereby, obviously, my mom, because of her hardship, she was always a very loving mother. They're both very loving, but for them, the way of showing love is very different. Like my mom is someone, because she had to be the man and the woman in the house. So very often she would have to be very stern, like very rarely you see my mom coming and give me a hug, for example. She always wanted to make sure that I was the perfect daughter, the way that I looked. When I was overweight, she was making a lot of like, you need to lose weight. It's not good for a woman, da, 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 da. And my dad, being a Muslim guy, obviously, after when you're a kid, you still get a bit of like hugs and all of that. But then once you grow up, you become a woman. That's it. It's like, yes, you're good. Yeah, you'll have one hug, one kiss before you leave. You're traveling or something. And that's
exactly the same as me.
And then I still remember, because you're talking about work as well, I still remember when I was young, it was always hard for me to understand who I was and what was actually good for me. Because I remember as a teenager, I was like, oh, I always want to be a YouTuber, or I want to be an actress. Being an actress was one of the biggest things I always wanted to do.
Same.
But I wanted to do actress. I wanted to be modeling. I wanted to be a dancer. And actually fashion design was one of my job dream, like at the time. Well, obviously, you know, when, just like you mentioned, the first thing that my dad was telling me is like, you know, and even my mom was kind of pushing the idea. She was like, you know, your dad always wanted to be a doctor. Obviously, he couldn't make it because at that time, he didn't have the financial support to do so. Now you have it, maybe look into it. I'm scared of blood. So I'm like, I don't think doing medicine is a good idea. I'll faint 3/4 of the time, and I don't want that to happen. So then I was like, all right, now I need to look for a corporate job that would make everyone happy in the family, and they would know that I'll have a financial security. Because I think it's because from where they come from, they had that struggle, so they don't want the kids to struggle.
That's it.
And you're like, all right. And then I'm like, okay, then I'll study law. I did international business, and then I did my master's in law, and that was fine.
Yeah,
that was okay.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a position, and I've mentioned that a couple of times, where I'm like, I don't know if I want to do a 9-to-5 anymore. I don't feel like it's me. I feel restrained. This word has been coming back in my mouth so many times. And I was like, oh my God, now that you're saying this, I'm like,
yeah, no, that's such a similar thing to me. It was the same. Like, and as you said, they don't want you to suffer maybe like the way that they did.
Exactly.
But also it's still their conditioning that they have heard from their parents and their parents.
Exactly.
You know, like how many times do we hear it in this kind of culture? And it's not just our culture. I don't want to say it's just in our culture, because you do get this in the Western world too, but it's this whole thing about the doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, an accountant. You know, these are the things that are like put on a pedestal.
Exactly.
If you are this, then you are successful.
Exactly.
But this is where it's so damaging on a child.
100%.
Because you then believe that if I can make it in any of those, only then I will be accepted, only then I'll be seen, I'll be heard, I'll be enough.
Exactly.
And I'll be loved.
Yeah.
Like that's the belief from the childhood, that's the conditioning. And it was my conditioning. It was, you know, and I will say this as well, that with me growing up, it was every single time I did something good that I thought was good, like for my family or for anyone, an act of kindness, it wasn't praised very much. It wasn't lifted.
You were never like, I know what you mean. It's like you could have done your best to achieve something, but for them, in their eyes, it was, oh, but you could have done that instead. And I'm like, what?
Oh, okay. So you had that. So
yeah.
I didn't have too much of that, but I definitely was compared to others.
Oh,
so-and-so's daughter, she's got this, you know, look at her, look how she does these things. Like, totally the comparison.
That is such a toxic parent trait. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, because funny, my cousin, she's now a doctor. She's almost a doctor. She's been doing her study. And obviously she was super intelligent. I was always an average student.
Okay.
Never that smart student. I was an average. I got good grades, got B's and C's. And sometimes D's, but I passed all my years, you know, and I'm happy with that. But then I remember when my cousin was getting 18, like she was getting 18 on 20, 19 on 20 A's, and then she moved to being a doctor. Then my dad what used to hurt me the most is to see how he would hold a conversation with her about her choosing to be a doctor and me, you know, you feel the difference and you're like, oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that can have a psychological impact,
100%,
right? That does. Because for me, it was like the comparison was one thing, being compared to other people, other people's children. then it was, at home, what I was obviously witnessing. So I didn't see arguments and all of that. That's fine. But I also didn't see a lot of closeness of love. Like I didn't see my parents are not affectionate with each other in front of us.
Yeah.
That's all behind closed doors. And we don't know about that. Yeah. So if I'm not witnessing that love, I don't really know it. Exactly. So, but it was still a calm household. But I definitely knew when I've done something wrong. If I've done something wrong, I will hear about that. I'll get told off about it. It won't just be one day that I hear about it. I'll hear about it again.
For a whole month or after a year that it will come out of the blue and you're like, you still remember that?
Yeah. So when I've done something wrong, that is a huge thing.
Yeah.
But when I've done something right, it's like, it was like in passing. It was like, okay, that's good. Like totally feels like you've been ignored. But the only time that I was really getting proper praise was when I got a good grade at school.
Oh, okay.
So when I got a good grade at school, it's like, oh, well done. Then I'm getting the hugs as well. It's like, oh, the hug is like so rare in the house, just like for you. And then again, what happens to a child when they only get praised or feel seen when they've done, well in school? The psyche is, oh, I have to work hard
to receive
to receive love. I have to achieve something in order to receive love. So my belief then has always been that keep working hard, keep doing more. In fact, not only is that then something that manifests into your studies, it then manifests into work life. You work really hard, you step more into your masculine energy because you feel you have to prove yourself.
100%.
Then it comes into your career because then you're like, it's no longer impressing mom and dad, it's impressing the managers and the supervisors. I'm like, is this enough? Is this good? I'm constantly seeking that validation because my belief is love is conditional.
Yep. Yeah.
And that stuck with me. And then in my romantic relationships, I gave my whole self. I would give everything. I would be loyal. I would be so loving. I'd be putting the guy and his family first.
I know.
My own family would come second and me, I come last.
Yeah.
I'm always last because my psyche as a child was whenever I needed something, because this would happen. I remember cases where coming back from work and I would ask, I'd call my family, I'd be at the train station and I'd say, can somebody come and pick me up by car? Because if I get the bus, it will take me like 45 minutes. If they came by car, it would take 15. So I'm so tired, please. Can somebody come? And it would be like it'd be like, well, we're tired as well. Just get the bus. Or, I remember being at school and wanting to buy like little pizzas that you would get on the break. And like when I would ask my family, like, I need a bit more pocket money because I've spent it on back then it was like your phone credit.
Of course,
and stuff like that. I was like, I need more. It was like, no, because you didn't budget your money. You need to. So I constantly felt like, and I was asking friends for money and I'm constantly like thinking that whenever I want something, I can't get it. If I ask, I won't get.
Yeah.
I'm asking families to pick me up. They're not getting it from me. So I start to stop asking. Again, leading to hyper-independence, hyper-masculinity, because you stop seeking from others. It's not even seeking. You no longer have it in you to receive love. You just know how to give.
Yeah.
And you give love. Why? Because you still want other people to feel the pain that you felt.
Exactly.
And that's all you know how to do.
It's so funny that you say that because I had that realization around, I think, beginning of this. That was end of last year to this year. Okay. It's been 1 year now.
Yeah.
Okay. Where I realized that I did not understand, every time I was going into a relationship, I was giving my whole life. When I say my whole life, I would give everything. I would almost disappear. I would forget what I enjoy. I forget everything about me. It would be him. Show him I'm wifey material. Show him I can cook. Show him I can do this. Show him I can be pretty. Show him I can work out. Proving myself I am the perfect girl for you.
Exactly.
And it was I remember there was one time I was having something with a guy and I always felt like I was proving myself to him again. And then one day I had enough and I was like, stop this. Literally I had a moment at home and I had what is going on? The problem is not that, because I was like, why do I have to be so miserable in love? When I see, for example, people having beautiful relationship and I'm like, love is not supposed to be hard. Why is my relationship so hard?
Yeah.
And then I understood that. I was like, the problem is not them, it's me. It's what I am attracting and what I'm putting out there, and it's coming because these are familiar traits to me from what I know from the past.
That's it.
And then I'm like, okay. So then very quickly understood that I needed to do the work. I started hypnotherapy. I started to work on myself. And I would not say till now that I'm like fully healed, because I think healing is
a journey.
But I am so much better compared to before. Like, you know, it's like you get those wow moments when you realize that, that was related to the past.
Yeah.
Because I always had, it's funny you mention about school, because I have this very vivid memory that I will forever remember. You know, when you have like parents teacher,
the evening.
You get that every like semester or whatsoever. I had one, and then obviously my dad couldn't make it, but there are 4 brothers on my dad's side. Very like, you know, everything is discussed together. Whatsoever.
Okay.
So the 3 brothers was in Mauritius, because that's where I was studying. And then I was so excited. I was like, my uncles were here. Let's go to the parents' meeting. And they are a businessman. They came for like to speak to one teacher. And then they were like, oh, she didn't say anything wrong. She was just saying, you know, Lamia takes a lot of time to express herself. So maybe for the exam, she needs to narrow it down because of time.
Okay.
Oh my God, I don't know what they understood. And I remember the hall was all the way down, and you had like a trillion of stairs before you get to the car park. And I had, you're not working enough. You're constantly on social media. And I was not. You're constantly on social media. Your dad's paying so much money. It's such a shame. You need to work harder. I remember I went in the car and I cried with my mom. So I was like, this is like, I felt like I will forever remember this. And my mom used to tell me, she's like, just think about the Rocky movie, because that was a movie that we used to love watching together. It's like, you see, he fell down so many times, but he got up at the end and he won, you know, just keep going. Then I was like, okay, I need to prove myself. And then at the end of my secondary years, there was 9 awards that was awarded to students that excelled for the year. And few of them knew that they were winning it, but there were like maybe I think 2 or 3 that they didn't announce who would win it. It was kept as a surprise. The last prize, I remember I was sitting next to a friend of mine, and we were kind of making bets. We're like, oh, who do you think it's gonna be? Like, we're making like silly bets. And then the last one, I was like, oh, I think it might be you. I said that to him, you know. And then I hear my name, and I'm like, what?
Oh.
I was like, what? And then that moment these 2 moments in my childhood are moments that I will forever remember, because that's again when I thought that I needed to prove myself all the time to know that I'm worthy, you know. But you realize that you're just worthy, you know, the right people will see who you are.
Yeah. But again, it's the, like you said, you worked on your healing. It's shifting those limiting beliefs. It's understanding that this is just what we felt is a projection of someone else's trauma. It's their trauma. It's a mom and dad's trauma. It's their parents' trauma, and theirs is generational. And we have been the ones that are now carrying it. And it's up to us to do the healing. Otherwise, we then pass it on to our children or to the people that are around us. And you did that work. So that's beautiful for you. And I'm so happy that you did that. And it was the same for me. Like, I reached my point where, you know, actually I'll come back to that in a second, but where my healing really, truly began. But I definitely was that person, giving all of myself, constantly trying to be the wife. I want to be the best woman. And I could see that from the outside, anyone sees that. I am being like the best woman. Like, I really am doing everything that you hear that men want. I was doing that. But the truth is, the underlying energy that I had was desperation.
Yes.
It was desperation of, choose me, please marry me. Because I put marriage on a pedestal, because I thought that, you know, anyone could be your girlfriend. Plenty of girlfriends out there. We have girlfriends, boyfriends, you break up, no problem, on to the next. But having a wife means you chose me out of every woman in the world to be your wife. And that to me was like, if someone does that to me, that's love. That's really seeing me and choosing me. And I'm constantly chasing that. That's constantly what it was. Because my teenage years, I did fall into a type of depression. I definitely did. I didn't recognize it at the time, but it was because my mum got even more involved in work. Like she had her job, and then she got involved in politics, and she was so absent. Nobody had time to listen to me at all. So again, not only just feeling alone and feeling a bit abandoned and emotionally neglected, but also like super isolated in the sense that nobody understands me. So all of that. So my mum's not around. Nobody's there to listen. I couldn't even vocalize what I feel because my parents would just always tell me, let's talk about this later, not now, because I didn't have the time. And when I would try to speak, I would speak so scattered because so much was in my head. I didn't even know how to express. I didn't have to express. Then they're like, we don't understand what you're saying. And then so I'm so crushed. I feel super unloved. My grandma was the one woman, she was like the big cuddly woman that would give me all the maternal love.
Yes.
She meant everything to me. So she was all I really felt like I had. But other than that, I just wanted love. I just wanted somebody to want to ask me how I am. Somebody to tell me that they love me, someone to kiss me, someone to say that I'm amazing. Like and I also didn't feel beautiful.
Oh yeah.
This is a big topic. Yeah. I also didn't feel beautiful at all. And if I look back at my pictures, bless the old version of me, my inner child, but she really wasn't. she really wasn't shining. And nobody would look at her. And my mum wouldn't compliment me. Nobody would. So I've always just felt like I'm bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
And the only way I'm going to be seen is if I work hard. Yeah. So I did work hard. And I got myself into a grammar school, and then I went into university, studied maths, got, top grades, and then got myself into banking. And I just did everything that they wanted me to do. And I still never felt enough. I still felt so miserable in who I am. Fell in love at the age of 17 and was in a relationship for 7.5 years.
Wow. I was in a 7 years old relationship and then we broke up.
Yeah. So I was in a long-term relationship and I gave my life to that. And I really, really wanted that to work. That was like my first love. He meant everything to me. And so did his family. But the desperation, the energy of choose me was still very strong. Even though I wasn't showing it that much, it was there. And men will sense that. 100%. A man will feel that.
Yep. As much as I feel like man does not understand that the same way we have our gut feeling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They do as well.
They do too.
Trust me. I don't know how. I don't know how it is on the masculine side, but the same way we have our gut feeling, they do.
They do. If you're in touch with your intuition, you'll feel it. But they will feel it because really a relationship shouldn't be so like I put myself last. As soon as they sense that, for a woman, you're already 100%. In a bad position.
Yes.
You've given too much of yourself too quickly.
Yep.
And they have nothing, they don't have to work hard now.
Yeah. I think if you think about the ideology of like how men and women, like the whole masculine, feminine, men, I may be wrong. This is what I've heard.
Yeah.
Men will always have, or masculine will always have that urge to chase. So they need to keep chase. The moment they have acquired what they wanted, the interest slowly disappears, So
it can very much be that way. I mean, it also depends on how aware the person is and a man and what, because even if he doesn't have to work for it as much anymore, if a man is a conscious man and he's aware, he will still appreciate because he understands the feminine. He understands the thing, but men who really are in that, more in the ego, they are constantly wanting to chase. Yeah. They constantly want to chase. They go into their hunter-gatherer days. Like, I need to hunt for it. Once they have it, it's like, oh, boring, and it is like that. And it's like that across the world. It still is very heavy like that. But women do need to protect their energy more and have more boundaries. For me, my turning point really was, I had a really awful time in my career. I admit I was hating the banking world, the finance world.
So when you were in the banking, you were like amazing daughter, great. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, I was doing a good job. I'm earning well.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly trying to prove to my family that I can do better.
Yeah.
And I'm also trying to show to my boyfriend at the time that look at me, I can also, because he was also very academic. So I'm trying to show him as well. So I'm attracting a man who also loves literally attracting like what my family want.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, we attract what we're familiar with. And I'm trying to prove to him, I'm trying to prove to them. And I'm chasing constantly. And then our relationship did come to an end at the age of 25, where we thought we were going to get married. There was a lot of confusion happening at the time. There was a bit of disagreements from his mother's side about it's too early to get married. There was all of that. The relationship ended. And I still remember one of the last things she said to me, his mum, find your identity. And that hurt like hell, because I felt like, what does that mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean by that?
Yeah,
I do know who I am.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. But actually it was a massive blessing, because she's right. I didn't really know who I was.
Yeah.
I know who everybody else is.
Yeah.
But I don't know who I am. Mm. And in that time, so my relationship ended. My grandma, who I said was giving me the maternal love, that was the only one that was giving me that, she unexpectedly had a heart attack. Oh, God. And I lost my job. And it was all in about 4 months. I lost all of that. And I can say hands down that these were the 3 things that I thought is what completed my life. Mm. The guy was giving me the love that I always wanted, like the love that's going to take me away and it's going to fill my void. Mm. My grandma was the one giving me the maternal love that I always wanted, the love and that really soft love. My mom's all masculine like yours as well. Mm. And my job was giving me a sense of control, a sense of stability, something I get to.
You can control
that.
Yeah.
And it's like God, universe, like wiped those 3 away and said, you thought that these 3 things complete your life? How about I take them all away? Yeah. Now who are you? And that was the moment where I was like, I don't know who I am. I don't know. And it's the beginning of COVID.
Oh boy.
And I was like, I can't go anywhere. I don't know what to do with myself. And I don't know where to go. I don't know like where to go in life. Mm. Like, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? What now? And I say this to everybody. I think people have heard me say this time and time again, but it's as if, we live in our bubble. Mm. Most of us live in a bubble. It's my life, my friends, my family, my problems, my job. It's me. And we never look outside of that bubble. Mm. So the moment I was like, well, what is my purpose now? I don't know where I am or what I'm doing, is the moment I stopped looking at me and I came out the bubble and I was like, oh my goodness, there's a whole bigger world out there. And that's when the signs started to come about healing and focusing on my inner world. The answers are not on the outside. The answers are all on the inside. And I had to heal them from within to find who I am. And it's the same I'd say to anyone out there, to anyone who's suffering, who can't really find themselves, are struggling to see who they are, struggling to feel worthy of love. You're constantly chasing the outside to feel good enough, and you still don't feel good enough even when you get there. It's time you do the inner work. Mm. It's time you step inside and heal the wounds, because those wounds are all rooted in the childhood. And that was my journey. That was when my healing really began.
Wow. I mean, that's when I say life will always test you, and I feel like if you want to better yourself, I mean, that's what I've realized from my experience, like these are like all this uncomfortable situation that kind of try to break you, mm-hmm. helps you to be a better version, because you always 100%. Have to step up. Yeah. And then you're comfortable, you're building, and then you feel like, okay, great. And then something happened, it will try to break that. Breaks, okay, step on your game again. It's like, it's not allowing you to stay there. It's like, you can go up ahead.
You can.
But talk me through, obviously during COVID, all of these happening to you. How did you cope with everything? How did you find your purpose?
Yeah. So for me, it was, it was interesting when everything felt really bad. Obviously, my life just felt like it was all over at that point. It was also the point where my parents suddenly had more patience and time for me, because they were their teachers. Mm. So they weren't going to school in COVID. So suddenly, despite my life feeling like everything's going the other way, my parents stepped up. Okay. And they suddenly had all the time to listen to me, and they would be like talking to me about my feelings. And I was like, how is this happening now? Complete opposite to what they were like. So I used to talk about it a lot with them, and they were great at holding space for me. But then it was like, go outside and go and run, go and get on the cycle, go and do something to get that movement in, because it's also movement of energy. That energy is stored in here. The pain I needed to move that. I didn't realize that doing the fitness would actually help that. But at the time, it was helping me. My parents would say, get up now. We've been speaking for 3 hours about your problems. Go for a run and clear the mind. And it really did. But then I started seeing stuff on like social media about like healing your wounds. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Is that what this is? Is that what I need to be doing? And I started to talk to coaches and other, like, not therapists, but my aunt's a psychotherapist. I spoke to her a little bit. So she started advising me. But it was about talking to people that are in that space that might be able to help navigate what's going on within me. I did then meet a new guy, and a wonderful guy, as in he's a coach. Okay. He's a coach himself, and is very good at what he does, you know, and he was looking at trauma as well. He was looking at weight loss and trauma and things like that. But just meeting him was really helpful because he was able to identify some of my traumas as well. Okay. And that helped me realize, oh gosh, this is what's been happening to me. I got to then work with him a little bit as well. Like he got to tell me a few things. And then also, he also saw in me the coach in me. He saw the coach in me because I used to talk about stuff and I've been coaching people since I was really young.
Okay. Unknowingly. Yeah.
I was always the one that would help other people. That was part of my people pleasing, was to just fucking help, let me help. Mm-hmm. And as a kid, it was also a big part of me was, I always so intrigued, why do people do what they do? Yeah. I was always observing. So I've always been people analyzing a little bit, you know? Yeah. So it's been a bit of a gift of mine, but I never knew how to monetize that into a business. But I saw him, this guy, he's doing it. And he was like, why aren't you doing it? Because you're so good at this. So he saw that part of me and gave me that strength to realize that, my God, I can be doing that as well. But so he was a lovely chapter of my life in that sense, but there was a lot of issues with our relationship and his traumas, and his traumas would help me see more about my traumas. So sometimes it's about meeting somebody who just helps bring out the stuff that needs to come through. Of course, they might not be your life partner, but they're definitely there to help bring out your wounds.
100%, I agree.
So that was a part of it. But whilst I was in this sort of understanding who I am, one of the big questions that came to me is that if I had all the money in the world, if I had, invested all this money and I've got money just rolling in now and I don't have to work, if I want to buy a Ferrari tomorrow, I can. If I had that kind of money, I don't need to work, what would I be doing with my time? And at first it was like I would be doing things like traveling or setting up a charity somewhere. But it's like, okay, but say you've done that now, you've traveled, you've done the charities. When you wake up in the morning, what would you be doing with your time? Whatever the answer is going to be something that you would do for free. So for me, it was either I'd be singing because I love to sing, because I could sing all day. Or I'd be helping people because I already was doing that on the side. Like anytime I hear someone is going through something, I would give hours of my time to help them. Yeah. I was like, and I love to do that. And I decided that I would do the coaching. I was like, that's the thing that I would do. The singing can stay there, but that's what I would want to do. And I kept feeling that every day that is what I want to do. That is what I want to do. And then I started looking at my pattern. I've been doing that since a really young age. I had to go through all this stuff about love and my voids, my gaps in me. I've now understood my traumas that relate to my childhood, my mother wound, because my mum didn't give me that love, and I seeked it so much from her. I was so angry that she couldn't give me more time. That was a wound in me. So I realized that I had to heal so much, and then heal my relationship trauma from that 7-year relationship. I had to go through that pain, had to go through all my loss, had to go down to rock bottom in order for me to heal, to then realize it's time for me to help others heal. Because without me having gone through that experience, there's no way I could help others.
100%. I agree. And I think this is something very important that you pointed out, because I have noticed now, on social media, you see a lot of things like about healing, about coaching, and you name it. Like I've seen so many of these things nowadays, where now, for example, I see people assume that they are coaches, that they've healed from their trauma. But then when you sit down and you have that chat with that person and you're like, are you sure you've healed? because I don't feel like you're healed. You know what I mean? And that is something very important. And I think this is a good point to mention. I'm not saying that it's not like anyone, that no one can do coaching or the opportunity is here. But obviously, if you want to help others, you need to help yourself first, you know?
Oh my God, this is a topic I can talk about all day. There are a lot of coaches out there, and they could be very, very good coaches as well. They're very good at helping other people. But the reason they are doing it is actually more for their own validation than it is to help you.
Exactly.
It's their coping mechanism, actually.
100%.
They do it because they want to get the, oh my God, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being, then they go into this godlike energy.
Exactly.
Like, look at me.
Yes.
Then it's the same thing, the wounds from childhood. Like, look, mom, dad, look at me.
Yeah.
I am good enough.
Exactly.
It's a constant wound. And, it's a constant wound, and it's a constant, seeking validation, basically, is what that is. And there's a lot of them that do that. I was speaking to somebody the other day who was telling me about a coach that he works with. Brilliant coach, but the coach himself is a huge narcissist.
Yep.
Like, such a narcissist. And a lot of them are actually, I don't want to mock, everyone out there, but there are a lot of them out there. There are
100%. I have seen that myself, where, I mean, I know that they are doing the right thing. I know that they are, trying to achieve the right thing for everyone. And they're trying to help people out there, which honestly, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
The fact that someone wants to be out there and help others in need, amazing. But I still believe that one thing that is very important is that you need to be able to be 100% okay with yourself. For example, there are certain things, you didn't come to Mulai yet, but for example, at Mulai, when I spoke to Ian and I decided to kind of step up and help to facilitate, I did tell him, I said, listen, my comfort is the ice. I want to help people in the ice because I feel very comfortable with it. I don't fear it anymore. And I love holding space. Breathwork, I say, listen, I'm not good at breathwork. I will not do it because that's not what I'm good at.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very important to acknowledge that, you've got to do the work to help others.
You do. And acknowledge your strengths.
Yeah.
And areas that need improvement. Like, we should all be able to do that. Let's not try to do everything.
100%. Right? I agree. But exactly, I think in everyone, we've got our strengths and weaknesses.
We do. We do.
But now what is very interesting, and I really wonder, so obviously now you're in COVID, you're working on yourself, you're finding yourself, you find your purpose, and then you decide to do life coach.
Yes.
And then you announced, not life coach, sorry, relationship coaching. Relationship coaching, sorry. So you decide to do relationship coaching and obviously helping others. How do you announce that to parents that are expecting you to be doing a corporate job, saying that, hey, mom and dad, after COVID, I'm not going to corporates.
I'm not doing, So, do you know what was interesting? With time, as I've proven to them financially, I was in a great position. I bought my property at age 25, 26. They're seeing that she's doing really well. I was a VP in the bank. They're seeing, okay, they can see all that. So they were no longer as worried as they were when I was a teenager, when I was in a band performing in all these places, wearing black nail varnish, and they were like petrified that I was going to go, the wrong way.
Yeah.
Now they're like, she's done it. She's done really well. And they're no longer as worried about me. They've seen me come through obviously the breakup has now happened. They can see me pulling through. They can see me wanting to work on myself. They definitely softened. And they had more confidence in me. But what happened was when I started working on myself, and I didn't just work, by talk therapy. I did somatic healing, which is inner body healing, like energy work, because you can talk about your problems all day. That's like 40% of your healing. But the rest of the pain is in the body, and that comes through energy work. And that's what I offer in my coaching. But when I started to do all of that, I started to learn more about consciousness, being more present, connecting more with the heart, coming home to the heart rather than being up here in all your anxious thoughts. And I started learning more about being, just being, we're constantly in this human doing rather than the human being.
Oh my God, I love that you mentioned that.
And we're constantly, and that was me, constantly doing what I can in order to receive love, in order to be good enough. And I was like, how about I just be and be more with me and be more in love with me and stay in that presence more. I started practicing more meditation, more consciousness work. And definitely through that, I stopped seeking the validation and the approval. So going to mom and dad was like, I'm openly talking about it with them, saying, look, like, I think I could be doing this and I think I'm quite good at this. Like, what do you think? And my mom was acknowledging it. She was like, no, you do this for so many people. I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Also gave the example of the guy that I was dating. I was like, look at him. Like, he's doing it. And it's like, yeah, that's true. Like, they got to see examples of it now. So that helped. But because I've already achieved so much, they were already at that proud point that it was so much easier for me. But I wasn't at a point anymore where I was like, can I do this?
No, it was like, this is it.
This is it. I can feel it. Now that I'm connected to my heart, I can feel it in my gut, in my intuition, that this is what I need to be doing. And I think they were always a bit worried, even until the day that I actually quit my job. And actually, I started monetizing. I only took this as a business 2 years ago, but I only quit the bank in April this year.
Oh, really?
Just now. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just now.
So now you're full-time
relationship and trauma work. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. So all this time, hold on. So all this
juggling.
You were doing both.
Yeah, I was doing both. So again, this is another belief that was there. In my mind, it was when I have this much money in my bank account, then I'll quit the job. Okay. When I have this, or if I have that, then I will. The thing is, I spent probably between 40 to 50,000 pounds on my healing journey, which was not necessary, but I did do that.
Of course.
I spent that traveling, going to top people, investing in here and and I want to work with the best, and I want to heal. I was on this chase again to heal, the healing chase. And so I spent a lot of money and realized that it wasn't necessary to spend that much. It's okay for me, like that was my investment, but I learned a lot along the way, but I definitely didn't need to do it to that extent. Now, I did all of that. I had very little left in my savings. Yeah. I was like, I don't have that much money now. So I was like, well, I have to keep working more. When I have this, then I will. And that's why I continued to juggle the two. And what I did notice in my journey was that I was doing both of them, turning more masculine now.
Oh,
because it's
all right.
The job, then coming home and clients, then wanting to get content out on social media, wanting to live on my own. So cooking and cleaning and grocery shopping, gym, and spending time with my friends and family was like, I have no time.
Did you burn out?
I had moments of burnout. I was like, I just feel like and I just stop. Everything just stops.
Yeah.
I'm not doing good at anything.
Yeah.
And then I picked myself up somehow, but it was like a lot of fluctuation. But I also saw that I always only ever had about 4 clients at once. My clients joined for a 12-week program. I don't do hourly because it doesn't serve me, but also it doesn't serve them. Join a program and you get to heal like pretty much everything. Yeah, you get to change your life by the end of the 12 weeks. So for me, it's join the program and I have 4 people on the program and I'm trying to get a 5th person and it's not happening. And I was like, why? I'm having consultations and it's not converting into a sale.
Yeah.
But when one person out of the 4 drops, within the next day, I get another person again. And I was like, this is a repeated pattern. And I noticed it's because it's like God saying to me, Maria, where do you think you'll be able to fit the 5th person?
Because you can only handle that much.
Life will always give you as much as you can handle. Life will never give you more than that. Even when it feels so painful and you're like, why is this happening to me? It's happening for you.
Yeah.
So I realized that I need to create capacity and space in my life in order for me to have more clients in the thing that I want to do. So it was like, I'm done.
And how was that day or that moment? Do you know, this is something that is really intriguing me at the moment. Is like, and I believe for some people as well who's currently like, not sure if they want to continue with the 9 to 5 and they want to find something that will really drive them. What I wonder is, when did you decide that, okay, this is enough. I am done. I don't want to do it anymore. I'll take because I feel like also, obviously, with the 9 to 5, because you're earning a salary, so you're comfortable with it. You know that at the end of the month, I'm going to get a salary. So that's security for yourself, so it's like comfort that hey, you know what? Whatever's going to happen, I'm still going to earn something.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
now doing something on your own, obviously something that you enjoy, there is that uncertainty of like, will I be able to make an earning at the end of the month? Will this be able to cover my expenses? Let alone feed me? You know?
Yeah.
So I wonder, what was your turning point?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I admit, like I said, I was constantly saying, when I have this much, because I was constantly thinking, I want security first, then I can quit. Because then if I don't make any money for a few months, it's okay. That's what I was thinking. But then, you know what? Life was showing me on its own. I wanted to quit my job a year ago. I then was like, hold on, why would I quit now when in 7 months' time I'm going to get a bonus? So in January is when we get bonuses in the bank. I'm going to get a bonus. I might as well wait the 7 months, get the bonus. That'll be a nice lump sum of money and then quit. So I'm waiting. And then in December, I find out the bank is having a whole reorg and they are going to make quite a few people redundant, which meant that the bonuses were all out the window.
Okay.
I was distraught because I was like, I waited for this. What was I waiting? I was waiting for this moment and it's not happening. Then I was like, maybe they'll make me redundant, then they'll pay me.
Yeah.
I tried to wait for that too until March and that didn't happen either. And I was like, life is trying to show me, you can say, you know, if I have this and when I have that, you know what, if you keep doing that, you'll be waiting your whole life. It will not come to you like that. If something is for you and you feel it in you, you need to take that massive action and go ahead and do it. Now, yes, it was scary for me. Financially, I was afraid. I was like, I have some savings, that's fine. But then I thought to myself, hold on a minute. How much do I actually need? Like, you need to think about this, because I think what happens is our ego makes us think we need the same amount that we've been earning. Yeah. But the amount that I was earning was way more than what I needed to survive.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? I was like, how much do I actually need for the mortgage? How much do I need in order to eat? Even if I was just having toast and beans every day, you know, that would be okay if that meant I'm doing what I love so that I can get to the point, you know. I was like, okay, how much do I need? Do I need to buy clothing every month? No, I have clothes. I just need money for water, for food, for this house that I live under, and petrol for my car. And that's about it. And I was like, that's actually not a lot of money. And I was like, all I need to do is make 1 or 2 sales in the whole month. And that would cover, or one would cover that, you know? So I was thinking, I have 30 days in a whole month and I only need to get 1 client. That's doable. And I was like, again, it completely humbled me to realize that I don't need the fancy things. I don't need the fancy car or the fancy house. I just need to live and be and just get through it, get through my month, get through my days.
100%.
I don't need a lot of money for that. And I also know that, and I say this now with conviction, don't ever believe the whole concept that only the academic world is going to reward you financially.
Yes.
And then you have this, I have this, we're creative individuals, acting, singing, fashion, design, everything. But that was like the light was sort of dimmed on that, because 100%. It's like, that's not a proper job. Too much emphasis on engineering, like being a doctor, lawyer, whatever. There's too much of that, because the belief is that that's going to give us the status, that's going to give us the recognition and all of that. You can make it in your passion. You can make it in your creative career. It's believing that is what I'm supposed to be doing. That's a gift that you were given. We weren't all given that same talent.
100%.
That was gifted to you, and it's gifted to you for a reason. If you follow it through, money will follow.
Exactly. And that's so beautifully said. Honestly, this is so nice that you're saying it like that, because obviously I think that anything people fear to take a leap of faith is because obviously the biggest fear of nowadays world is financial. Will I be able to finance X, Y, Z? But then, like you mentioned, you realize that actually you don't need that much.
You don't need that much.
You know, it's what you see on social media, what society expects you. And that's all of the things that you see outside that makes you believe that you need that, you know? And I feel like, and you know, the funny thing is I always say, for example, all the people I admire, funny enough, they don't, for example, Stephen Bartlett is one of my biggest role model.
Yeah.
And he dropped out of uni.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look at him now. He's doing pretty good for someone who dropped out of uni. But at that time, if I were to tell my parents, hey, I don't like uni, you'd be like, no, you've got to do that.
Do it, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's such a beautiful message.
Yeah.
I really, really like that you've mentioned that, because I feel like people need to understand that obviously if you want to get out of the 9 to 5, and now again, we're not saying that everyone needs to get out of the 9 to 5. Some people are happy in it.
Yes.
Some people are very happy coping with 9 to 5, getting salary, and that's absolutely okay.
Yeah.
I want to really put emphasis on that it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But if you feel like this is not you, and this is not something you're happy. And I'll put it like that because this is something that I've realized, and I'm on that realization journey at the moment. I'm not going to lie, where I realized that I had that conversation with my dad and my best friend. And I told her, I said, do you know what? I'm at a point where I know that work will never be easy every day. It's like showing up to the gym. Not every day you'll be motivated to wake up in the morning and go smash a session. There are some days you'll feel a little bit lower than the other.
Yeah.
And work is exactly like this. You know, there are some days that is going to be harder for you, you know, but when you enjoy what you do, even though it's hard, you will show up.
You will show up. And I can guarantee the money will follow. It all comes down to your own belief, though. If you believe that, I don't know if it's going to happen, I don't know if I'm going to get the money, I don't know if it's going to, trust and believe, that money is not coming.
Exactly.
You have to start thinking abundantly. You need to believe that you are worthy of having it.
100%.
And this all comes into manifestation now. That's a big area for me. But yeah, you know, but you will only ever attract what you feel worthy of.
Of course.
So if you want this much money, but you don't really deep down feel worthy of having it, there's a part of you that feels like, I don't know if I can really get there, then you won't get it because energetically you're not matching it.
Aligning.
So what needs to change? Your self-worth needs to come up. You need to really believe in it. And that's, again, comes back to working on your inner world.
And it's so true because my friend, she's currently, I told you about that. She's currently going through hypnotherapy course because she wants to do that. She wants to also take that as a career, you know?
Yeah.
And one day she came over to do one session with me. And I was telling her, I was actually speaking to her, I was like, you know what? As much as I'm saying that I want this, but I feel like I'm lying to myself because deep inside, it's not aligning with what's coming out of my mouth.
That's it.
And I'm like, that is the reason why things are not aligning.
Yes.
And that's when you realize it's a lot of people don't believe in or question manifestation. But I believe that it's not about like, hey, I feel abundant, I'm beautiful, I'm loved, I'm enough. No, it's not. I've done that. And trust me, I've listened to YouTube's or saying repeat twice. I'm beautiful. I'm in bed. I'm smart. I'm worthy. Blah. And then I feel like, oh well, nothing has changed. It's been 21 days. I'm doing it. 30 days. I'm doing it. Nothing has changed. You know. But then you realize that it's because whatever you're saying, you're not actually believing it. It's from like
absolutely
inside.
Absolutely. I mean, in fact, if you don't mind, I'll share my 4 pillars of manifestation, you know, what I have definitely recognized now. You know, as you say, just saying affirmations isn't enough. You need to feel it. You need to really believe that. You need to actually be able to imagine it as well and visualize, like having the thing whatever it is that you're after. You should be able to imagine it and feel it and smile with it. If you can't even imagine having that thing, it's not yours. It's not coming to you. But I say it like this. When we want to manifest something into our lives, the 4 pillars that I say, number 1 is ask for it. Whatever it is, put it out there. Put that in, whether it's a prayer or you want to just ask the universe, sit with it, whatever. But ask is number 1. Number 2 is now believe that what you've put out there is yours. You've got to really believe in it. If you're a religious person and you're doing a prayer and you're asking for it, then believe that it's been heard, but it will come to you when it's ready. It's when it's ready to be yours. It's yours, but it will be in your reality when the timing is right. So that takes me to the 3rd point, which is patience. You've asked for it. You've now believed in it. Now be patient with it as well. understand it will come when it's ready, like I said. And the fourth one is gratitude. Stay in gratitude. It's like if I ask my mom to make me a dish, I say, Mom, I love it when you make me biryani. And I say, can you please make me that? I've asked and I've said, thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you so much for making it. I can now go into the other room and sit at the dining table, and I can know and stay in my belief that it is coming.
Yeah.
I know it's been cooked in the kitchen, but it's not going to be there in 2 minutes.
Of course.
If I start saying, where the hell is this damn dish of mine?
Yeah.
She's going to turn around and say, you know what? You can make it yourself.
Exactly.
It's the same concept. Like ask, and then you can be away from it, and it's being prepared in the kitchen. It will be delivered on your plate when the time is right. So ask, believe, stay patient with it, and stay in gratitude. Always stay in gratitude. You will always be rewarded.
I love that. I hope the audience will remember that. Maria, I can literally sit for hours.
Yeah, we could keep going.
Like, honestly, like right now, I want, like you mentioned about manifestation. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Honestly, but unfortunately, we'll have to
absolutely.
end the conversation, even though I swear I feel like I could sit hours with you and we could have conversation on and on about so many things, because I feel what you do as well, they tackle different areas of life that is very important as well.
Yeah.
But obviously I'm expecting a part 2 with you when you're back.
Absolutely.
I want to say a big thank you for making time for me while you're on your last days on top of that.
No, thank you. You've made this all possible for me when you guys are having a whole refurb. So thank you so much. No, really.
Any last word? I have a last tradition before I leave. I will finish off with that. But before we go to this, any last words any message actually that you want to put out there for anyone who's listening, who's maybe hesitating on, finding themselves, finding their purpose, or anybody that needs to reach out to you, anything, just whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah, look, I think one thing I wanted to mention is that, I get a lot of my clients, they come from, they've had therapy in the past, and they've told me that they haven't quite seen a huge shift within themselves. And I often say this, and I briefly touched on it before, it's because in therapy, and I'm not mocking any therapists, I've got therapists in my own family, but in therapy, it's generally about talking about what's happened to you. And you can do maybe some NLP to go back a little bit into the past, understand. But often what happens with people is they talk about the problem, and the therapist might advise them on what they can do going forward. But for me, the reason why they're not seeing significant change is that they're here and they're trying to go here. But in order for you to go here, in my opinion, we need to go back. We need to recondition or rewire the beliefs that you have from childhood to then go forward, to have permanent change. So many people will do therapy and then they say, oh, I get it now. I'm gonna do things differently. And 3 months down the line, they're doing the same thing again. Like, why? It's just because there's a traumatized little boy or little girl in you that still needs to heal. And that's when you're going to get the real shift. So I encourage anybody that is looking to do the work, that wants to shift, that wants to have a better life, wants permanent change so that they can attract more into their life, whether that's love, whether that's money, like more abundance, peace and happiness, where they're no longer seeking from the outside and actually realizing that all the love and all the peace is inside. Is to combine talk therapy, so talking, as well as somatic healing, which is inner body work. So that's energy healing. I also am a breathwork facilitator as well, because I trained in that, because that was another phenomenal way to release trauma. So much came through. I cried so much. My clients all cry through it. It's a beautiful way to release suppressed energy and emotions. So the work that I do is to offer both. I do sort of healing the inner child, healing our parental wounds, mother and father wounds, generational trauma. We do that through meditative inner body energy work. So we release like that, and we're doing the mental side. So it's healing from the intellectual perspective, cognitive, and also from the body. That's where we get significant change. So if anyone wants to reach out and have a conversation with me, then just follow me on Instagram, Mariah Coaching. There's a link in my bio. We can have a free consultation call, and would love to work with anyone who's really serious about the healing, because I don't want to work with anybody who's not really fully ready. I give myself fully to those people who want to see full transformation and want to heal from the past to have a beautiful future permanently. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I'll put all your handles and everything in the description.
Perfect.
So people can just click and reach out to you.
Mm-hmm.
I might reach out to you.
You're so funny. Look, I'll be happy to. Okay, we're going to do some inner work.
Oh my God,
together.
yes. So I've got a little bit of a tradition.
Yes, please.
Which is called a rapid fire question.
Okay.
Some are deep, some are easy, some are funny. Whatever you feel like it.
God.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, first one. What's the first word that comes to mind when you think about your time at the bank?
Exhaustion.
All right. Morning person or night owl?
I feel like I'm starting to turn more into a morning person.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. One skill you learn in your 9 to 5 that helps in coaching?
Managing my own stress.
Okay.
Mm.
I like that. Family or society? Who was harder to convince about your career switch?
Family.
What's your favorite thing about being your own boss?
Oh, this freedom. Freedom.
All right. One book or resource that inspired you during your transition?
It's a book called Attached. And
Ooh.
Attached is a great, great book because it absolutely helped me understand my own attachment style and why I was so attached to love and to people and my anxiety that I had, and helped bring me back to my secure. So that was a really big part that also helped me realize why I was chasing that career.
Yeah.
So helped me with my transition for sure.
All right. If you could go back, would you leave your 9 to 5 sooner, later, or at the same time?
No, I think everything happened in divine timing. It needed to happen now.
Okay.
I think as much as I thought I might have been ready in the past, like I thought I was ready for marriage in the past, no.
Okay.
No.
All right. What's your go-to self-care practice after a long day of coaching?
Get the sage, get the Palo Santo, light the space, cleanse the space, and to do a little bit of breath work for myself, a little bit of meditation, and gratitude. I'm just like, thank you, because whatever came through a session of coaching or whatever, I don't believe that came through from me. I believe that came through something greater.
Of course.
I'm just like, thank you for guiding me to guide that person. So I have to sit with that, and that just gives me so much peace.
Amazing. Success in one word.
It's hard to put that into one word.
All right, let's put it in one sentence.
Suppose it's success is you feeling or me feeling content and at peace within myself at that given time.
Okay. All right, my last and my favorite.
Yes.
If you could give one advice to your younger self, which one would it be?
Learn to put your own needs first. To love who you are because you are enough. But you have to come first. You have to take care of you so that you can then help others. It's not take care of others so that they can help you. You do it first and you'll see how amazing life can be.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, she's hearing you.
And she's hearing me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria. It was
Thank you so much.
such a pleasure to have you on board. Looking forward for part 2.
I'm so excited. I feel like we're going to have part 10 at some point.
Oh, yes. Let's do it. Have a safe travel back in the
Thank
UK.
you. Thank
we
you.
look forward to have you back in Dubai.
Yep, I'm coming back real soon.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And on that note, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.